winter storm that is arriving in North Carolina as we speak. Precipitation has already begun in the far west and will move east over the course of the day. I'm joined by Director of Emergency Management Will Ray, Secretary of Transportation Daniel Johnson, Secretary of Public Safety Jeff Smythe, Secretary of Health and Human Services Dev Sangvi, Major General Todd Hunt of the North Carolina National Guard, and the Commander of the State Highway Patrol, Colonel Freddie Johnson. Jackie Matevier and Mary Lee Bahar are our Spanish language interpreters, and our American Sign Language interpreters are Nicole Fox and Karen Magoon. In most parts of North Carolina, you can expect the weather to impact your life starting today and lasting until next week. If you're watching from home, hopefully you've made all the preparations that you need because depending on where you live, it's about time to stay put. Please do not be out on the roads unless it is absolutely necessary. That's for your own safety, as well as the safety of the NCDOT road crews, the State Highway Patrol, the power company line crews, and other emergency workers who are already hard at work. Starting today, we're anticipating sleet, ice, and freezing rain, whether you do not want to be driving in. And the next week is going to be cold. In most of the state, we expect temperature to fall below freezing every night for the next week. Whatever ice or snow is on the ground at the end of the day will refreeze overnight. Black ice will remain a risk in many places into next week, especially on bridges, overpasses, and shaded areas. Dangerous traveling conditions are not, however, our only concern. Please plan for the possibility that you'll not only be stuck at home for a few days, but that you may be without power. Ice accumulation is heavier than snow, and it can knock over trees, which can then fall on power lines. Avoid any downed power line and report it to your utility. Fellow North Carolinians, this is a serious storm. We are taking it seriously, and so should you. Last night, I requested an emergency declaration from President Trump, which we received approval of that request within the last hour. This declaration enables us to access federal assets so that we can deploy additional generators to critical facilities like hospitals, support sheltering operations, provide emergency food, water, and fuel, get help from the Forest Service to remove downed trees. We are grateful for the partnership of the federal government and its quick approval of our request. At the state level, we have shipped more than 100 pallets of meals and drinking water across the state, in addition to more than 700 cots and blankets. The State Highway Patrol is ready to clear roads and respond to emergencies. NCDOT is fully stocked with fuel and salt to respond to the weather around the clock. 21 counties are opening warming stations, 7 counties are opening shelters. We expect more to happen over the course of the day. Now here's what you can do. Stay informed. Make sure you're following your local media, the National Weather Service, and your local emergency management agency for the latest updates and recommendations. Next, double-check your plan for how your household will function if the power goes out. How will you safely keep warm? What will you eat? Who will you call for help in case you need it? Be ready to reach out to family, neighbors, or authorities if you are without power for an extended period of time. Lastly, don't forget to check on your loved ones, your neighbors, or anyone you know who might be vulnerable. When we see someone who needs help, we extend a helping hand. That's the North Carolina way. The safest way for us to get through a storm like this is to do it together. Thank you, and I'll now invite forward Director Ray and then Secretary Johnson.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning, everyone. Winter storm warnings, ice storm warnings, and winter weather advisories are going into effect starting midday today for western areas of our state and later this evening farther east. These warnings and advisories remain in effect until Monday across much of the state. Significant wintry precipitation is forecast over the weekend with major impacts lingering into early next week as dangerously cold temperatures are forecast. Light wintry precipitation has already begun across the far western portions of our state, but impacts will be limited until accumulation begins around midday across the mountains. Mixed wintry precipitation will expand into central and eastern portions of our state by late this afternoon and into the evening hours. Sleet, freezing rain, and rain will continue through Sunday and into early Monday. Major impacts from significant ice accumulations are forecast across the southern mountain regions and into portions of the Blue Ridge Escarpment, where 3/4 to over 1 inch of ice accumulations are expected. At this time, much of the Piedmont is forecast to receive greater than 1/4 inch of ice accumulations. The greatest snow and sleet accumulations are expected across northern portions of the mountains and the northwest Piedmont, where 2 to 4 inches is forecast. While precipitation may begin as light snow, most of the accumulations will be from sleet. With cold temperatures settling into the region, any accumulations will linger into early next week and black ice is possible each night. All North Carolinians should be finalizing plans now and should be prepared to stay home and off the roadways starting later today through early next week. The State Emergency Response Team, including all of our interagency partners, the private sector, our nonprofit and volunteer agencies, remain activated. There are 51 local states of emergency, and as the Governor said, 21 local emergency operations center activated or are in monitoring status. We continue to support commodity distribution, and as of this morning, the State Emergency Response Team has distributed approximately 120 pallets of MREs, or meals ready to eat, and drinking water to assist communities with shelter or warming center operations. This is in addition to approximately 1,100 cots and blankets to supplement local supplies, as well as the commodities that have been shipped into local communities over the past several months as we work to build local capacity. Many communities across the state are opening shelter locations or warming stations. For the most up-to-date information on those resources available in your community, please visit your local government and local emergency management agency's website and social media accounts. The North Carolina National Guard and the entirety of the North Carolina State Highway Patrol are active and on station today across the state to assist local communities and state partners with clearing roadways, responding to emergencies, and with transportation needs. 95 National Guard force packages are on station and will be assisting with clearing roadways from downed trees, helping disabled motorists, supplementing first responders, and assisting with commodity distribution. These force packages remain at approximately 454 soldiers, 182 vehicles, and 3 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters. We remain in close coordination with our energy sector partners who are represented here at the State Emergency Operations Center and will be closely monitoring power outage information to quickly assist in restoring power in our communities that may see outages. The North Carolina Forest Service remains with their resources on station and personnel staged across the state that are ready to assist local first responders with roadway clearing where needed. Our communications personnel and equipment, as we have discussed in previous days, have been pre-deployed to assist with degradation of the 911 systems, radio systems, and phone or data systems. If you have an emergency and call 911 and another community's 911 center answers, do not hang up. Provide them with detailed information about your situation, your location, and they can and will assist you. As a reminder, 911 should be used for emergencies only. For general information, please call 211 or follow your local government and emergency management websites and social media accounts. We will continue to work with the entire State Emergency Response Team, our local and state governments, the private sector, our nonprofit and volunteer agencies, as the forecast continues to evolve to ensure we can support our 11 million North Carolinians. Finally, as I said yesterday, please check on your friends, your family members, your neighbors, or those in your community who may need additional support this weekend. We're going to see significant winter storm impacts, and we are stronger and more resilient together. Thank you, Governor. I'll now turn it over to Secretary Johnson from NCDOT.
Thank you, Governor and Director Roy. As we start to see some of the initial waves of this storm in the western part of our state, I want to reiterate what others have said this morning. Please avoid travel this weekend unless it's absolutely necessary. By staying off the roads the next few days, you'll not only help keep you and your families safe, you'll help keep our crews, emergency responders, and other personnel safe as they do their important work. If you choose to drive in the conditions that we anticipate will impact our roads, you are rolling the dice with poor odds. The risk of crashing in these conditions is high, which can lead to serious injury or being stranded in a disabled vehicle in bitterly cold conditions. One thing that's important to note in the days ahead is that freezing temperatures will continue to create hazardous conditions on the roads. Just because precipitation isn't falling doesn't mean it's safe to travel. If you're traveling by rail, please check Amtrak and NC by train for updated schedules, as many routes are closing ahead of the storm. Ferry routes may also be impacted due to high winds. Please check schedules ahead of any travel. NC DOT crews have been working tirelessly this week on pre-storm preparations. I'm grateful for all their efforts and for the work they'll do to help clear the roads in the days ahead. We have crews strategically placed across the state and ready to help with clearing roads, cutting branches, and assisting our utility partners in cases involving damaged power lines. More than 2,000 DOT employees will be working around the clock the next several days to address storm impacts. We've poured our full effort into preparing for this event because we aren't taking chances with your safety. I encourage everyone to stay informed and, if at all possible, to stay put throughout the duration of this storm and until it's deemed safe to travel. People can visit drivenc.gov to view the latest road conditions and other storm-related information. Thank you. I'll turn it back over to Governor Stein for questions.
Thank you, Secretary Johnson. If folks have questions, please go to one of the microphones on either side. And if there are no questions in the room, are there any questions online?
Anthony Dance with WCAB News. You may ask your question.
Hi, I'm Annie Dance. With the winter storm hitting communities that are still recovering from Hurricane Helene, will the state help with debris cleanup? And are you concerned about the risk of diseases like measles in emergency shelters? How is the state addressing that?
I will invite forward the Secretary of Health and Human Services to answer the second question. We are concerned about the double whammy impact in western North Carolina. There are already a lot of downed trees left on the ground from the last storm, Hurricane Helene, and any future trees falling will create more headaches, create more fuel on the ground once we get into wildfire season. We intend to work closely with our partners at the State Forest Service and the U.S. Forest Service to make sure roadways are cleared, power lines are not impacted, and do everything we can to help people in western North Carolina get through this with the minimum impact possible. As it relates to transmittable diseases, Secretary?
Great. Thank you, Governor. You know, anytime we have individuals in close quarters, we worry about any kind of communicable disease. So we ask that individuals practice those things that we've been talking about for a long time. If you're sick, keep your distance. If you happen to touch surfaces or are close to others, wash your hands frequently. Hand hygiene, keeping your distance are going to be two important things, particularly if you're in close quarters.
Thank you. Any other questions online?
Annie Dance has another question. Annie, please go ahead.
Thank you. Just a quick follow-up about the roads. You had mentioned, the Secretary mentioned when it's deemed safe to travel. When do you expect that to be?
No, we have to see how heavy a wallop this storm brings. The fear is the lingering cold into next week will continue to have real impacts on folks' ability to travel. If there's an area that's in the shade, if it's a bridge or an overpass where it's not getting ground temperature, those areas tend to stay icy beyond when you would think the ice should be there. And so we will, over the course of the coming days, have more information, more guidance for drivers. drivenc.gov. Did I get that correct? Yes, sir. Every time I throw out a website, I got to be worried. Folks should check drivenc.gov for the latest information in their part of the state. That's the other thing is you might be in the Far East and things actually may be better on Monday. But then you may be up in Boone or Watauga County and it's still hazardous to drive. So folks really need to be paying attention to what's going on in their local community.
We have another question online from Jose Sandoval with Blue Ridge Public Radio.
Hey, thank you. You know, just to ask as well, you know, we're based out of Western North Carolina. Are there any concerns about losing phone service or phone signal, any concerns like that for the region?
We are worried. We're worried about the impact of the storm on all kinds of infrastructure. whether it's roads and being able to drive, or whether it's phones, being able to talk to each other, or whether it's water or wastewater. So we're just on our toes, working in conjunction not only at the state level, but with our local partners and with our private sector partners, so that we can be as responsive to whatever hiccups come along the way.
There are no additional questions online.
Thank you all very much. Good luck getting through the next couple days.
You have been listening to an update from emergency officials there in Raleigh, Governor Josh Stein, and other state officials. Voice is James Brierton. I'll get my camera on. I think we have the one, the only Sam Walker out there on the Outer Banks as well, Sam. And I'm going to go ahead and bring you in here. And this is it, man. We're kind of down to the wire. That is going to be the last emergency briefing we get before the storm starts.
Yeah, it is. And it looks like we are in, well, I guess now it's just wait and see mode. We can see what's going to happen all across the Carolinas over the next 24 to 36 hours. And if you haven't got your prep work done, this is the time it's got to be done now. Otherwise, just hunker down and watch it start to rain or snow or sleet, or do all three at the same time, depending on where you are. I know out here on the Outer Banks, we've had excitement. We've had some power outages unrelated to any storm stuff, and we've seen snowflakes. My social media all blew up about an hour ago with folks saying that they are seeing snow in Kitty Hawk. A lot of that's probably related back to what we got earlier when that Arctic front came through, James. Just some residual moisture from that. We are not expected to see precipitation out our way until probably sunset at the latest. And I've been scanning around the traffic cameras in both North and South Carolina to see if anything's showing up. And it doesn't look like anything's showing up. And you've got that regional radar up now. Other than what looks like around Gainesville there in Georgia is the closest to any real precipitation, maybe some stuff up in the high country.
Yeah, the precipitation, at least radar depicted, is limited. But just like you were pointing out, we have a couple MPing reports from actual users on the ground, even here in the Charlotte area, reporting allegedly some snow falling. And there's a chance we could see a little snow falling here in the Charlotte area before we get into the sleet and the ice tonight. And as we keep reminding people, even if you get a little bit of snow at the start of this, do still prepare for ice to follow, and we're expecting that onset here a little closer to the sunset hour. We have lots of reports of winter precip back across Tennessee and even portions of Alabama and Mississippi, and that's all part of this storm system as it continues to come off here towards the east. I don't have a ton of graphics punched up, Sam. I'm not sure if you do.
I actually do.
I'm going to hand it over to you, man. The myth, the one, the only Sam Walker out there.
All right. Well, let me jump over first to we'll start here. We will start with the overall regional look. And I say regional as in the nationwide look, because it's pretty big. As you can see, a lot of pink all the way across. We started this, 2 days ago. I mentioned the fact that there was that blue out in Arizona and it was going all the way to Maine. Well, it's still there, but now as you can see, the pink goes all the way from the Rio Grande Valley all the way up to Vermont and Massachusetts. So a wide swath of the United States is covered in either a winter storm warning, a winter storm watch, or a winter weather advisory, or in the case of a good chunk of North and South Carolina right now, and rare ice storm warning. Northern Georgia's in that as well. A good sizable section of northern Louisiana, East Texas, Mississippi included in that ice storm warning right now. So that's kind of how things look from a nationwide aspect when it comes to the watches and warnings as they stand here as we come up on the noon hour on the East Coast. Going to switch over to where we're at wind chill wise, because the wind chills, I tell you what, yesterday I was outside here on the Outer Banks. It was a nice 50-degree day, barely a breath of wind, getting some things finished up outside from having not taken the Christmas decorations all down until the middle of January. Why not? And it was nice. Well, today, not so much. This is the current wind chill forecast for the next 3 days for South Carolina. And as you can see, the lowest looks like it's going to be in the single digits up in the upstate. We get to the Midlands, into the teens, and even the upper teens down along the coastal sections. That is really looking ahead to Monday and Tuesday. But these wind chills are going to be with us, it looks like, into the middle of next week from this system as well. Looking at the North Carolina wind chills, and this is valid through Monday night. So really, this is kind of what we're looking at right now. I can verify wind chills in the 20s out here on the coast of North Carolina this morning. And as you get back farther inland, it gets down into the single digits, as you can see there. All right. Overall winter weather risk, that hasn't changed a whole lot. Maybe on the eastern side, it's trickled back a little bit farther to the west now than where it was this time yesterday. In the oranges, still see that yellow sections right along the US 17 corridor of North and South Carolina, a little bit farther west than 17 runs once you get down into South Carolina. So really it gets closer to the I-95 corridor, really, where the oranges start to show up. And that's where we're going to start seeing that moderate impact. Anywhere in those orange areas is moderate impact at least. That, of course, includes hazardous driving conditions, closures and disruptions, and then, of course, the reds and the purples where it really starts to get serious. And as you'll see in the next graphics we're going to show you, well, there we go. Sorry about that. Didn't click the last click. There's that map. Yellows, again, are US 17 west in North Carolina, pretty much the I-95 corridor, maybe US 15 west when it comes to South Carolina. Then as you get into the oranges, it's the I-95 corridor for the most part, down to I-20. And then the reds, of course, I-85 and on up into the I-40 range. And then the purples, where the extreme is in the mountainous areas, especially in the southwest mountains of North Carolina and right along the Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina border. Snowfall has not changed much, maybe even has scaled back a little bit. Almost hardly any snowfall expected out of this. For South Carolina, maybe up to an inch possible as it starts along the I-85 sections up around Greenville and Spartanburg and Clemson and Anderson and those areas. But it's the ice. That's what we're going to be talking about from this thing. And as you can see, a good swath of South Carolina is in the reds, which is more than a quarter inch of ice through the duration of this. And then again, around Greenville, Spartanburg, that's where it really starts to get serious. Those areas that are anywhere from about a third on up for ice accumulation, that's where that ice storm warning is in place. So, that's where we are most concerned about it for South Carolina. North Carolina, snowfall, again, a little bit more snow expected, especially in the Triad and on up into the 77 area, Mount Airy, on up the escarpment, over to the Highlands. That's where the most snow is going to be possible in North Carolina. Even as I mentioned, the Triangle snow belt, the Triangle's winter all the time, and when it comes to snow is always Roxborough. Don't be surprised if Roxborough doesn't get the highest snowfall amount out of this for our Triangle folks. And out here on the coast, maybe a trace. It looks like it's just going to be dumping a Slurpee tonight on top of us with a rain, a sleet, and a snow mix once we get around sunset. But, of course, the ice, that's what we're talking about. We keep repeating, ice, ice, baby. That's what we're looking at for this system, both for North Carolina and South Carolina. And as you can see there, 2/3 of North Carolina, basically everything west of I-95, you're looking at a quarter inch of ice or higher. As you get to the east, that transition area, it could be a mile difference as to whether it's a quarter inch to just a light glazed. Once you get out towards Greenville and Kinston and on down into Duplin County, or if you're headed up towards Williamston and Windsor and Ahoskie, those areas, they're right on the threshold of seeing a little bit or seeing a lot. Anything above a quarter inch is a lot, folks. And as we get out farther west, it gets even worse. A half inch in the Triad, over 0.6 of an inch in Charlotte, and then even up in the Highlands, in the high country there in Boone, about upwards of 0.75 of an inch. Same thing down along that southwest border of North Carolina and the northern border of Georgia and South Carolina. It looks like that is going to be the center of the target. James, if you're standing by, I don't have access to a Duke outage map at the moment, and the only reason I'm bringing this up is for resource purposes. I have Dominion. Dominion is the primary service provider here in Northeast North Carolina, other than the electric membership co-ops. I'm going to zoom out. You can see that light blue line. Dominion Energy services pretty much everything the northeast corner, even on up along the border counties of the Triangle. And no outages right now. We had a couple outages out here on the Outer Banks that were related to actually a contractor knocked down a couple of poles in South Nags Head. It took out about 1,100 folks. But we do expect this map for Dominion to start really filling in. And as you can see, their territory is primarily Virginia and, again, Northeast North Carolina. And those areas are really going to be the areas that get slammed in that Virginia area. We do have some concern about, because much of the generation that goes on for Dominion Energy customers actually comes out of Virginia. What happens to the transmission facilities? That's your high voltage lines, your big lines. What could happen with those, and what would have to happen to, switch things around? So that would be something to watch as we get in through the next 24 hours. Duke Energy obviously has all their maps as well. I'm not going to try to, I guess I could probably do a search, James, if you're not able to. Duke Energy outage map. Let's see. And as we talk with representative from Duke Energy back on Carolina Weather Group on Wednesday, talked about what they're planning to do, but also how you can prepare yourself and how you can also, in fact, help them out by reporting outages. Yeah, here we go. I've got the Duke outage map here. And as you can see, much of their service territory is northern South Carolina and the rest of North Carolina, not counting, of course, the electric membership cooperatives that are scattered throughout both states. But, if you have an outage where you are, report it. Make sure you get it in there, because if they don't know, they don't know. Even with all the smart meters now, even with all the other technology that's been installed, and they're able to monitor that, it still helps to report that outage, because it just, going down to street level and individual cul-de-sac level. And the other thing that I like to share whenever we get into storm coverage out here in the Outer Banks is reminding everybody, turn your porch light on if your power goes out. And you're like, why? That way they can see. If there's a whole string of houses with the porch light on, they know they got the power back on in those places. If there's a whole string that don't have them on, then maybe that side of the street's got something else going on. So just a little pro tip there for you. But depending on, go ahead and find out. Make sure you got that number saved on how you can report an outage, or the website that you can go on to report that outage with your mobile phone, because that will be key over the next week, because we know we're going to be dealing with power outages that are probably going to last a week, especially with the amount of ice that we're expecting out of this storm. A couple of little things I was going to throw at you. Out here on the coast, we always have to worry about this, and that is ferry service. And the winds have knocked down the ferry service going to Ocracoke, also going between Currituck and Knott's Island, and also on the Neuse River between Cherry Branch and Minnesota Beach. That's down where Havelock and Marine Corps Air Station Cherry Point are. But that's probably going to be that same way all day, because the winds are supposed to continue to howl out here at least until tonight, and before they switch around and change direction. So there's that. No traffic issues whatsoever that we can find as of right now, because we don't really have any precipitation yet. I thought it'd be interesting just to throw this up here, which is the different views from around some key points in the state. I-26 down south of Asheville. I've got the I-40, I-85 interchange we monitor there, west of Durham, which always seems to be a very problematic section of interstate. Of course, I-77 and I-85 in Charlotte. Too many cameras there. James knows where those are all. He knows how to hack into the live feeds anyway. I still haven't figured that out. And then even taking a peek down at our friends in Wilmington. They're on Market Street. on US 17 coming into and coming there near UNC Wilmington, just a peek there. And then out here on the coast, earlier you could see a DOT truck actually working, or DOT tractor out there working. We had actually tan out conditions. What is a tan out condition? Well, we got the high winds last night out of that Arctic front, and it was blowing sand. And we had up to a foot of sand, wind-blown sand, over parts of Highway 12 south of Oregon Inlet. That happens out here quite a lot when the wind blows, and you can literally get visibility down to zero. And we talk about whiteout conditions with blizzards. We get them from sand out here. Just another unique aspect of life on a sandbar. And finally, taking a look at situation down in South Carolina. Again, all green right now on the roads. Again, we don't have any precipitation that's coming in yet, but these are the things that we're going to be watching for over the next 24 to 48 hours to start seeing a lot of reds and yellows and forming on these traffic maps in both states. And I'll take a peek here at this camera right at as you come into Georgia. See, South Carolina got the live streams up. Virginia does the same thing. Why can't we get on this same in North Carolina with our traffic cameras? But you see things are clean and green on I-85 there at the Georgia-South Carolina line right now. And we expect it to stay that way into this evening. But then, of course, tonight is when things start to get crazy. All right. That's all I've got pulled up right now, James. It looks like we are just, in watch and wait mode at this point, as this winter storm is going to bring a variety of impacts, but mainly it's going to be one of those ice storms we're probably going to be talking about 10 years from now across the Carolinas. Our plans now that Governor Stein's not doing any more briefings, we have not had any briefings from Governor McMaster in South Carolina out of this. But our plans now are we'll be doing live coverage here over the next couple of days as conditions warrant, as we're able to do so. And we will be able to bring you updates. James and I are going to be kind of coordinate that. I know Frank is slammed with his duties with the state of South Carolina, and all of our other meteorological friends are doing their thing on their platforms. But we'll be around. Most likely I'll be jumping in with you at least probably tomorrow morning. Maybe something tonight as things start to fall apart, James. We'll probably maybe jump in and do some live coverage tonight. And then the same thing tomorrow morning as we wake up and see what's happened so far. And like I said, looking at all those maps that I had pulled up earlier, I expect to see a lot more green, a lot more red than green on those traffic maps. And unfortunately, I got a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot more of those polygons showing up with power outages throughout the Carolinas because of this major ice storm that is setting up for us. And so that's kind of where we're at. I think James, who's twisting the dials over in the Queen City for us right now, has, he's trying to get back over so he can take back over on the controls anyway, because I can only do so much from my side at the moment. So this is what we call vamping in the business, folks. All right, you know what? We can throw some questions. I can't pull the chat. So actually, can I pull the chat and show it? No, I don't think I can pull and show the chat, so I can at least go through it. Let's see. TIGQ 1430 says Western NC here so far. My area is windy and clear. Appreciate North Carolina being proactive. Let's see. Jay Nerds blog says just say no to ice. In Fayetteville, Jana's saying in Fayetteville, the winds are definitely coming from the north and you can feel the moisture. Aaron asking about Haywood and Buncombe County. Well, as we, it'll be interesting to see what does happen in Asheville because, Asheville has its own almost like unique, more than one thing that's unique out in Asheville. But it can kind of have its own microclimate, if you will. The maps are saying about 1/3 of an inch of ice and maybe 1/2 inch of snow. But again, the ice is the main concern. So, a 1/2 inch of ice can really do some major problems out there. Yeah, that's what we're looking at, Aaron, is about, Haywood and Buncombe County is about 1/2 inch, 1/3 of an inch to 1/2 inch. Jay's Electric and Heating saying Piedmont NC here, stay warm. For those new Carolinians, welcome. You know, the funny thing about the new Carolinians, a lot of those new Carolinians are coming from places and they're looking at us like, even though ice storms can have just as much damage there, they're looking at us all like, what are y'all doing? We call this Saturday. True Blue Colt fan has a question from Goldsboro. That's one of the places we've talked about being right on the line for the potential. You know, I'll pull the map back up here. It should pop up for me. I'll see if I can get the right one. Yeah, is that it? No, that's not it. There we go. That's my South Carolina. Let me give it North Carolina up here because I can go back and give you a real good, let's see. It's not giving me a share at the moment. So I'll try to visualize this for you. Pull the radio stunt. So Goldsboro, we talked about it earlier. Goldsboro right now is looking about 1/3 of an inch of ice, but it's right on that border between what may happen, which is more of that Atlantic air moves in, that warmer air, and it may be more rain than freezing rain, and temperatures are going to be right on the edge. This is where we get into that situation. We talk about the difference in 50 miles. Well, this could be the difference in 5 miles as to whether somewhere like a Goldsboro or a Kinston or a Whiteville or an Olanta, those places like that, a Santee, Dillon, areas like that are right on the edge of where we think, or where the models are telling us and where our forecasts are telling us that we're going to be more rain, but we're going to have some temperatures at the surface that are going to be right on that edge of 31 to 32, maybe 33, 34, 35 degrees. Just all depends. So somewhere like a Goldsboro, you may be looking at a pretty significant ice storm event. Again, anything above 1/4 inch is significant. But you may also end up at only 1/10. And it may also depend on what side of town you are. So Goldsboro is in that transition area that we've talked about, and we're going to probably see transition again, even though we're kind of getting into that point where all the final forecasts are coming in. The latest map I've got was valid at 7 a.m., and it will update again at 1 p.m., so we'll probably have even a better idea what the forecasts say. But really, at this point, plan for the worst, hope for the best when it comes to places like a Goldsboro. Logan asking, how bad is upstate South Carolina? That seems to be where the widest spread amounts of over 1/2 inch of frozen precipitate of ice is expected to occur. So yeah, you guys probably are right in that center of seeing the worst out of this ice. Empty Nesters checking in from the Piedmont. You're asking what actual time is it supposed to start? If that's in the Piedmont of North Carolina, probably, like we said, around sunset. It's going to be, the precipitation is expected to start moving in from southwest to northeast. You may see precipitation a little bit earlier before that. But for the most part, James showed the radar earlier. If you want to scroll back and see that we really don't have a lot showing up on the regional radar at the moment. So it may be, after dark before the precipitation starts there. Some of that, though, is going to be based on as the air column itself saturates. We may be getting some virga. We may be getting, in fact, that, looking at a basic radar that I'm looking at right now from Morehead City, there's quite a bit of precipitation falling at the moment, but it's not reaching the ground. It might be reaching as some light snow flurries. Looking at the high res I'm going to pull out to Greenville, Spartanburg. And even looking at the high res there, it's just a lot of light stuff right now. You've got to get on back down towards what I know James said there were some reports of a few places seeing some of that snowfall. Man, radar's really not showing much anywhere, but it might just be what's going on with the radars. I'm not sure why we're not seeing that precipitation showing up yet. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be late tonight. Virginia's got a good point. Hey, you ought to be out here on the coast where everything comes out of Virginia. Virginia Ginger saying, live in Gastonia or Gaston County. Oh, no, I live in Gastonia County. We say Gaston County, but yeah, Gaston County, sorry. But her power comes from Lincoln County, and that's a pain when her power goes out. Yeah, I totally get that. We do have some of that. Dipstick asking about the cell service being affected tonight and in the next week in Spartanburg. That's really going to be based on what happens with the power. And obviously, if any towers come down, hopefully they won't. But, cell sites have generator systems. So if they lose shore power, sometimes those generators can only last a day, maybe a couple of days, depending on what their fuel source is. Most of the cell companies have all gotten everything fueled up and ready to go for that. But a propane pig can only last so long if you have an extended power outage, but should be good for at least 24 to 48 hours. Jessica Gleason, I'm going to assume you asked Greenville, and you've got SC in your screen name. So I'm going to assume that you're asking about Greenville, South Carolina. Again, Greenville, South Carolina, you're in the target. You are right in the heart. You're in the bullseye for this storm system, it looks like. That's probably the area that's going to see the worst out of this so far. B. Deasy says nothing yet in Alamance County. So that's what I've seen pop up in the chat so far. As we're scrolling through here, I'm going to try and reach out and see. James, are you back? Let's see. Are you back? I'm going to text him. But it's freezing cold. Yep, BDZ, you got a good point. It's freezing cold out there. And that is a good point. I mean, the air temperatures, they are pretty daggone low. They're right around freezing, and that wind's making it feel like it's colder. But what we're going to see is as the storm itself gets closer, it's going to start pulling in that moisture off the ocean, that airflow off the ocean, and that's where we're going to see the temperatures starting to rise. Transylvania County, Allander checking in. All five Lander. Sorry. I'm going to call you Allander out here in Gates County. We got a town called Allander. Transylvania County, right in the center, right in the bullseye. That's that 5, half inch to 3/4 of an inch of ice from our latest forecast, and possibly even up into above that. Durham, half inch, maybe a little more. So prepare for that possibility. That's going to be a pretty significant amount of freezing rain out of this. All right. Let's see. Any more coming in on the chat? Don't see anything else. There's okay. All right. There we go. So we're going to step away. And we will get you guys an update as somebody sticks their arm in front of the camera. My daughter decides to pop in. Hello. So there you go. That is the latest. We will keep you up to date online here. I think we might plan on trying to do another stream this evening. We'll get that out on all of our socials to let you know. Let's see. Anybody else? Kathy, Wake Forest, about the same as what we talked about Durham, about a half inch. And finally, Kayla in Gastonia. Yeah, same thing. We talked about Gastonia earlier, but yeah, you're looking at probably at least a half inch, if not more. All right. So that's going to do it. I'm Sam Walker. Thanks for joining us here on the Carolina Weather Group. We will keep you up to date on our winter weather situation. Get those notifications turned on the socials and on YouTube, on Facebook and YouTube. Turn your notifications on. That way you'll know when we're going to go live. We'll put out a notification there. Yeah, and put it out on our Facebook as well so that you'll know when we're going to go live. Try to give you maybe a 15 or 30-minute heads up at least, maybe a little bit farther out as precipitation starts again. After sunset when things going to crank up tonight. So we will see you next time here on the Carolina Weather